Hi guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Daily Racing Show here at RacePlazaMedia. Today is part one of the racing news that we have come across this week. This time it's going to be non-Formula related. And then tomorrow's episode is going to be Formula related, including Formula 1, Formula E, and so on. But you'll have to tune in to find out more.
Exactly. Also, my name is Milan.
Oh, I forgot to introduce myself
I
again.
just wanted to point out how you're being rude and I'm the polite one on the channel. Okay? Just want to clarify that.
But yes, my name is Pia and welcome to our channel. Thank you guys for joining us. Sorry about the weapons. I'm going to put that one away. And why don't you start us off with some racing news for this week?
I hate to do this, but once again, I have some bad news.
Okay.
And so I actually have two World Endurance Championship news.
Okay.
And so the first one is, and it's a little bit of a bummer because the race is already a couple weeks ago, but the Hypercar for Cadillac was actually ended up being disqualified because there was a part, I think it is the diffuser or part of the like exhaust or something like that was out of the what is it called, homologation or something like that. It's because the cars are they're all the kind of like homoglated, whatever the word is. Whatever the cars are.
Yes.
Don't make me make that joke.
No.
But essentially because it was a little bit off and it was outside of what the regulation was, they were now disqualified from the race. In hindsight, I think they finished in 5th.
Do you know which one of the races it was?
It was the Qatar one.
Oh, the Qatar. Gotcha.
Yeah, the Qatar race. So the 1800.
Yeah, 17 kilometers, something like that.
That they did. So they just announced, I believe it was this morning.
That's quite late though. Like it's been a couple of weeks, like you said, since the actual race.
I think it's been like 3 weeks or something like that. And I think so they have like the scrutineers that go in and take a look at the cars and stuff like that. And they went over the data again. And then I think Cadillac also said like, hey, listen, we didn't make any changes to it. It came from the manufacturer like that, which is the same manufacturer that also makes the IndyCar chassis and stuff like that. I think Dallara or something like that.
Oh, yeah, Dallara chassis.
Exactly. And I guess before Dallara shipped out the chassis to Cadillac, it didn't go through the regular quality verification check or something like that. And so it ended up being off. I will say, I don't think Cadillac got any like benefit from it. And I don't think the FIA is accusing them. They're just saying, listen, this is where it needs to be, and this is the margin that we're giving you. Yeah. And you're outside of that. And yeah, so I think the FIA in general has been a lot more cracking down on like punishments and stuff like that.
Everything.
Like we've seen it in F1 and stuff like that. We've seen it in F2.
Yeah, I mean,
we've seen it in Formula 1 Academy.
Yeah, I mean, literally, I feel like this whole season, the FIA has been much tougher than they have been in recent years.
And I'm kind of okay with it as long as you're keeping it consistent. I think there's definitely a conversation to be had about the whole Alonso thing.
Oh yes, yeah, that's a whole other video right there.
But in general, I'm okay with it because I'm like, the rules are there for a reason. And then it's just that if someone else is going to do it, then they have to have the same consequences as Cadillac. Yes. But it is a bummer that this happens like 3 weeks after that.
Yeah, it really is.
So, it is a little bit of a, bummer.
Yes, definitely.
So I had one more WEC or World Endurance Championship news, but I didn't know if you wanted to say something else.
Well, I do also have some WEC news.
Go for it.
Yes? Okay, perfect. So I'll go into it. So this is essentially following up on our previous conversation.
I think I have that news as well. I think that was my other news.
About Sebastian Vettel?
No.
Oh,
nope, never mind.
There you go.
No, never mind.
So basically, we started talking about it last week that Sebastian Vettel is going to be testing the Porsche 963 for the World Endurance Championship. So the testing has officially happened. Of course, leading up to it, he went into the sim first. Then he tested in Weissach on the track, which we extensively talked about how to properly pronounce Weissach last week.
Be soft on the end, okay?
Exactly.
No need to be, Same thing, sorry. This is because we like to watch Throttle House.
Oh,
It's Porsche. It's not Porsche. Okay?
Oh, yes, yes. But we love Throttle House.
Yeah,
If
we
you
love you
don't know
guys.
their channel, please check it out. It's a great,
Yeah.
great channel.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, so he had the sim racing that he tested on, and he tested on the track in Weissach, the Porsche 963, and then now he finally tested in Spain on the track where they did the long testing weekend or testing essentially. So he did a total of, I believe it was 116 or 118 laps. 118 laps.
Wow, that's a lot of laps.
In 4 stints.
Yeah, but still, that's a lot of laps.
Yeah, so it's a total of 581 kilometers, which is
Wow.
essentially 2 Grand Prix.
Wow.
So it's quite a lot of time. And he was also talking about
Isn't the Indy 500 500 miles?
Yes.
Yeah, wow, that's wild.
So then he also talked about how different it is, which of course it's different. It's a different type of car.
It's a tin top, right?
Exactly. So it's very different, but it's also, of course, it makes a difference that it has a roof. And he also mentioned that specifically, which I'm like, duh, but also
yeah,
it makes a difference. So he was talking specifically that the roof made quite a difference, the tires made a difference, the weight of the vehicle made a difference because it's quite heavier than the Formula One car that he's used to. So now, of course, is the question whether or not he's going to compete in Le Mans. He hasn't officially said anything yet. He was a little bit we would say in German, wishy-washy. He was not...
It's kind of like beating around the bush.
Exactly. He didn't say anything that he wouldn't compete, but he also didn't say he would compete. So I did find out also, to follow up on our conversation last week. So Porsche Penske has 3-car lineup for the Le Mans coming up. They already are in conversations about the third vehicle lineup. Their idea was to take over the lineup from the IMSA Sports Car Championship, the drivers from that Porsche into the Le Mans Porsche. However, they haven't officially announced it yet. They're going to make the announcement late March.
They're like, someone is going to make it onto the podium. And if it means we're going to fill up all the spots, we will.
But essentially they wanted to make the official announcement for the lineup late March/April. However, now there's some theories that maybe they'll wait a little bit longer until they have a decision also from Sebastian. That we're first name basis because we're buds. Sebby.
So I have a question.
Yes.
Were you able to find any of his track times or anything like that?
No, I did
not.
not.
But I don't know if they also keep this hush hush because they don't want the competitors to know.
That's true. I'm not quite sure what his track times were. I just know that he did a lot of laps on it, of course, which is, it's awesome that he did get so much track time, especially coming from Formula One where you barely get any track time.
These days, yeah.
Yes, exactly. Going into having so much. But yeah, so I thought it was really curious that they haven't officially announced it yet. So it could be a possibility.
So maybe the contracts need to, the numbers need to get right and stuff like that.
And didn't read it 100% if that's correct, but apparently his testing went well. So that's why it's a question.
4 times world champion Sebastian Vettel did well in a hypercar.
I know. So it's a question now whether or not he wants to do it, of course, because it is quite an undertaking. And of course, if Porsche Penske would want him in the car, but I'm like, of course.
It's a German manufacturer and a German driver.
Yes.
It goes really, for anyone listening, it goes really well together. Heart, yes.
Exactly. So I'm curious. We don't have an official answer quite yet.
Hopefully by next week's news, we'll have maybe some more information.
Maybe. So depending on how much time they really take with it. But yeah.
So I actually forgot I have 2 more things about the WEC.
Whoa.
Okay. So one thing is actually just a really quick thing. And so now the WEC wants to move in a direction that at least all the prototype or hypercars will now be required to do a 2-car. So you can't be a team with just 1 car anymore.
See, we just talked about it.
Yeah, we just talked about that you actually are not required to do that in the WEC. And now, at least in that category, they're pushing that. I know that people were commenting because I had proposed a question, not saying that I'm for that or against it, that why in F1 are you only allowed to have, essentially, you have to have 2 cars running, especially for the lower budget teams. so not saying that they're lower budget, but they have less of a budget.
Yeah, they have
you
less
know.
money available to them. Yes.
It would be easier for them, but a
Mhm.
lot of people are saying that you used to have that, I guess, back in the early 90s.
Mm.
And you had a lot of teams that were just like so poorly run.
Yeah.
And I think maybe it's also helps with the quality control.
Potentially,
But
yeah.
I guess the top tier of the WEC is
Mhm.
also moving in that direction.
Okay.
And then another thing that I came across, and this is like wild to me. So AF Course
Uh-huh.
is also
Oh,
a team,
yes, correct.
or AF Course. I don't know if they say it like
And
that.
I would say AF. Let us know in the comments below what you think. I mean, we already think that IMSA is interesting.
But I don't know if it was supposed to be like of course, F course. You know, if it was
Oh.
supposed to be like a wordplay. I don't know.
Or is like S
Well,
F word.
it is an Italian team, so maybe it's
Ah.
Automobili,
Forza.
something like that.
Course. Yeah.
So
I mean, clearly we don't know
we don't
much
know.
Italian.
yeah, but so they got fined $60,000 or euros
Uh-huh.
by the FIA because they did this really wild thing that they had 3 team members
Uh-huh.
on the Qatar during the Qatar race there
Uh-huh.
that they said that they were like I think they were like press and media or marketing, but they
Uh-huh.
were actually all engineers. And so they were just hiding them because I guess someone came in, and I guess they occasionally they have people that come in and inspect and see what's going
Yeah,
on.
I mean,
and
makes sense.
And so they saw that these guys were sitting in front of, I guess, the screens, and they're working as engineers and mechanics. And but so I don't know if there's a cap on how many people you can take.
I mean, I would imagine if that's
So
if there's a fine like that.
but well, the fine was for misrepresenting what they were doing. So I'm assuming that
Oh.
there's a cap on how many. I didn't have the chance to look into what the cap is,
Uh-huh.
but essentially they were hiding and lying about what their job was, and then they got caught red-handed. And then so essentially, I guess when you go to it, you submit a list of people
Yes.
and their jobs.
Yeah.
And then so it was declined twice by the WEC or by the FIA,
Uh-huh.
and then the third time where they were listed as engineers, then it was accepted. But
Oh.
because they were lying, hiding about it,
Uh-huh.
they got fined 60,000. So like,
That's
it's like that's
crazy.
insane. When I read about like the whole story about them hiding it and like trying to make it seem, because I guess when they were asked, "Hey,
Uh-huh.
what's your job?" they were also lying about what their job was. So I'm like, oh my God, like you guys need to get your
That is
a
crazy.
shit together, you know. But it's like I was like, that's actually really funny.
That
you
is
know?
funny.
It's a little funny, but yeah, but yeah. So a lot of drama going
Uh-huh.
around WEC and a lot of aftermath
Seriously.
punishment.
I could also imagine them, like, of course they're sitting in front of the screens,
Mhm.
but then like them in like incognito with maybe like a camera or like a microphone just holding it to pretend that they're press people.
Yes, I mean it was absolutely wild.
Oh, that's crazy.
Excuse me, guys.
Excuse you.
So another set of news that I had, and this is also a little bit more on the depressing side,
Oh.
is so I saw a list of all the people for Supercross. So we're
okay.
big AMA Supercross fan.
Yes.
And then they posted a list of all the injured drivers. And
for just this season?
yeah, for this upcoming race, so who will be out of the
Oh.
race and stuff like that. And some people were like obvious,
Mhm.
you know, like we're not expecting Austin Faulkner to come back
Yes,
and stuff
uh-huh.
like that. But it's like it's a long list of people, you know.
Jeez.
It's I didn't count it, but it's so many people, and it's unfortunately also a lot of people that I've never heard of, because we kind of are more familiar with like the top 8.
I would say so. I mean, it's also our first season, so we're trying
Absolutely.
to still get familiar with the people. So, of course, the people who are more in the spotlight,
Yeah.
we're more familiar with. And then
Mm-hmm.
also the people who have been shouted out to by some of our followers. So thank you so much for that, really.
Mm-hmm.
It really helps us to get a little bit of better grasp of the sport as well. But that's such a bummer.
So I think it's 7 people
Mhm.
for 450 SX.
Wow.
And then it's 2 for 250 SX West.
Mhm.
And then East is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Well, so East, I don't think the East Coast boys are back this week.
I forgot where they're racing at this weekend. I know it's starting at
They're
4.
St. Louis.
Oh, St. Louis. Okay, gotcha.
So but it is a lot of people are injured.
That is.
And so I forgot, like our little sneaky boy, Ferrandis, he's still injured and stuff like that. And what I also didn't realize is that Austin Forkner, he also had an injury. He injured his lungs. And I think there was they were saying that I don't know if they found like liquid in his lung, and I'm like, oh my god, like I everything that I already heard about his injuries was already terrible, but then now hearing that he also injured his lungs,
oh my
and
gosh,
I'm like,
that guy can't catch a break. I feel so bad for him, and he seems like such a sweet guy, but it's just literally no breaks for him, because he also, his season, like, it actually started off really good. He won a race and he was really up in the top, and then
bleeding / bruised lungs after crashing. I'm like, oh my,
jeez.
I'm like, more than anything, I would like for him to come back and really do well.
Yeah.
But at this point, in the amount of injuries, I hope maybe he finds if he doesn't want to come back, and he's also like, listen, the more I do this, because like he's 25, right?
Yes.
I think he's 25, 24. So like when you're 24, 25, you recover from things quite a lot faster, right? I'm a little older now, right? And I already noticed that, like, now I have a cold, right?
Yeah.
And it takes me longer to recover from this stuff, right? And it's like, it's also like the long-term effect from these injuries. So I'm hoping that he maybe can take some time now and really assess what he wants to do with his career.
I mean, he did say that if he feels like maybe this is a sign that maybe he's not meant to compete professionally in the sport anymore. I mean, it's, oh my gosh,
it's so heartbreaking. I don't even want to think about the end of his career, and like, we only knew him for a few races, right?
I know, and we're already so invested in him, just because, I mean, it's just because, I mean, we're rooting for anybody who's following their passion, and I mean, he was riding successfully, but he's just plagued by this horrible streak of bad luck, and oof, I mean, it's just,
and I didn't want to end this video on such a bad thing, and I'm sorry for not listing every single person, but it is just such a huge list of people that I think if we rattle through it, it was also kind of like disrespect by just like throwing out a name, you know, because you know, I would want to then give everyone the time to talk about them, and also we're not those experts yet, but it is like, it is such a brutal sport. Like, when we first watched it, and like, I think like the first like 2 or 3 races, like, nothing bad had happened. Like, no bad crashes. Like, any crash that we saw was like, people got up right away and they got back onto their bike, and like, the worst thing that happened, they had to quote unquote pit during the race.
But even at the beginning, we didn't see a lot of pitting.
Yeah, I think in the first race we saw, I think Malcolm had to pit.
Oh, I don't even remember.
But it was like, it was never anything dramatic, you know?
No.
It was never anyone like getting injured. But I mean, of course, seeing what they're doing, it makes, unfortunately, perfect sense that people do get injured, because you don't do these types of jumps and stuff like that without taking, you know, and if you then fall, and especially a lot of times when they fall really terribly. Like, you hit like the bar, and it's like it's just terrible.
I mean, it also doesn't seem like there's like soft ground for them to land on.
No.
Or, I mean, I'm sure they wear padding, of course, but I don't think it's like that much to really.
I like, you know, listen, once again, we're not experts.
No.
I wonder if it would be, if they should need maybe something like the airbags that they have on MotoGP.
Oh, interesting.
Like, because those, like, the moment the airbag, like, it's so like technically advanced, it realizes that you are like spinning out, or you're like getting off of that, it will deploy. But I don't know if also the counter side is that you sometimes drop off and then you get back on. But if the airbag deployed, I don't know if you could then continue.
But I also wonder if that's maybe a little bit too expensive for, not that saying that Supercross is not an expensive sport, but I would imagine that Supercross might, correct me if I'm wrong, might be still cheaper than MotoGP.
I mean, it's 100% cheaper than
right?
because I mean, those like a team is like 10 million.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. All right, so I'm absolutely right.
So don't argue back. But it would be nice if they might find a way to, like, I guess they're always working. I hope they're always working on safety. But I know, for example, in Formula One, the halo is provided by a third-party company, right? So,
and thankfully they got their stuff together
about the
and-
Halo, because
and
we
brought it
clearly
in.
know that it is
I mean,
worth
we've
it.
had so many accidents over the last couple of years since the Halo has come in
Mhm.
that the Halo clearly saved the drivers from horrible injuries.
Horrible injuries, if not death.
Yes.
You know, and unfortunately, we live in a day and age where there is still people are dying during racing,
Yeah.
during Formula racing. So, you know, not to get really sad towards the end of this video, but it is a very serious thing that, you know, we try to stay on the lighthearted side. We try not to emphasize crashes on
No, yeah.
and stuff like that. We don't want to like capitalize on people like getting injured and stuff like that.
No, but I mean, that's part
But
of
it
the
is
racing
part of the-
sport.
Exactly. And it's something that you have to talk about.
Yeah. Did you have another thing that you wanted to close this off with a little bit more of a bow?
No, but I will come up with something in 5 seconds.
Oh, that's the wrong.
Oh,
the wrong
we don't have the rights. Cut it out.
We don't have the rights
No,
for this.
but we have a lot of really awesome racing coming up this weekend. We have
Yes.
the WRC
Yes.
in Kenya, so the World Rally Championship.
I mean, it's
happening.
already happening.
It's already happening in Kenya.
Can't wait to watch it.
And it's also like it's such a different like atmosphere and landscape.
Yes.
And I can't wait to watch it because I imagine it being so gorgeous.
Especially because we went to Sweden the race previously, so we went from snow and ice now to Kenya.
And when we say we went from our living room watching it.
Yes,
okay?
yeah.
I wish we could afford.
Oh man, that's literally okay. Let's end it with this. That's literally something that we fantasized about last night. So currently, if you don't know, in California, the Powerball is at like 800 plus
I think it's 900
million
now.
or
Yeah.
900, whatever. But so we were fantasizing what we would do if we would win the big pot, and then we also said that we would love to take a year and, like, for example, follow 1 year, follow Formula 1 year, follow MotoGP,
Or
year
do a little bit of everything.
yeah,
you
or
know?
1 year follow rally and Dakar, and oh man, that would be so cool.
You know, honestly, let us know in the comments down below which like races you guys really want to see. I think also like with Formula E being in Tokyo this weekend.
We'll get into that more in tomorrow's video.
Yeah, but, like,
I'm so stoked.
That just sounds awesome. And I
Yes.
think like Japan also has such a great car culture,
Oh,
and they have
yes.
so many awesome tracks out there that I think that people are maybe not familiar with. I'm getting more familiar with it because of the racing games I play.
Yes.
You know, but they have a lot of really gorgeous tracks, and of course Japan is just probably an awesome country. We've never been, but
Yes.
it sounds really awesome.
Yeah, definitely. And we're going to a racing event this upcoming weekend, which we're so excited about. We're going to be at the Sonoma racetrack for the American GT Challenge.
I'm
which
so excited.
so excited. We've never been to the Sonoma racetrack. So I think that's going to be
It's gonna be really awesome.
It's going to be great.
So you know, let us know in the comments what you guys thought about the different things that we're talking about. Let us know what you guys will be watching this weekend. Lots and lots to watch. And as always, like and subscribe, and we will be seeing you guys here tomorrow at the Daily Racing Show for part 2 about racing news.
All right.